3, 2, 1.
Yeah, good. All right, excellent.
Excellent. We are live again.
Okay,
Yeah,
that
take
was
two. Take
that
two.
was something. Okay, good. All right, so let's see if we can. I guess we'll just send people to our always. I mean, I've never felt more like I'm 40 going on 85 than I have trying to get this thing going. Oh my
No,
god.
people will just come to our homepage and it'll be good.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, let's see if we can get a link that we can share with people here.
Yeah, I just dropped a link there in the Discord. I think we're good.
Okay,
I
great.
think we're good to just hang out and have fun. We've got
Okay.
we've got Jonathan in the chat. I assume that's Jonathan because of his avatar. It's on the YouTube page, he says. Don't worry about it. Timbo. They've only gone and done it. Whew. People had their doubts.
I
Josh, you
know.
had your doubts.
Well, I don't even want to see the like first minute of this where I'm just boiling with frustration. But it's all good now.
You ever,
Okay.
yeah, have your great grandfather, he ever invited you over to help him figure out his VCR?
Yeah.
You're the great grandfather in that scenario.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right. Well, next time we'll get someone who's actually competent to help us with this, and we'll schedule a link in advance. It's like, yeah, we okay. Well, it doesn't matter. We don't have to keep talking about how incompetent we are at this because that's clear to everyone.
what we need to talk
Um,
about, Joshua,
yeah.
is game week. The game week at 8 deadline.
Hmm.
Injuries don't stop, obviously. I've got my wild card. We can
Hmm.
share that with everybody. Um, do I have controversial decisions or is it milk toast? You'll all be the judge at some point.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, and you've put some show notes together for us. What do you want to talk about tonight, Josh?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead with your wild card? Somehow, in the process of trying to figure out how to get a link to this YouTube thing, I've logged out of all of my accounts, and none of my passwords have been saved somehow either. So I'm doing like recovery on everything. So you go ahead and share your wild card, and we'll go from there.
Okay. All right. I'm going to share my screen. Let's do this. I'm going to the Fantasy Premier League website, and here we are. Make the screen bigger. So this is it. So we talked about this on Sunday night. What is the Salah is the crux of all things. Uh, is he in or is he out? What possibilities do we have without Salah? And I've come out on the side of no Salah. Shout out in the chat if for whatever reason you can't see my screen, but you should see
Yeah.
my team here, and it's Trippier, the much hated upon on the Always Cheating podcast mere weeks ago, is now imperative on Wildcard. And yeah, I've decided to basically take Watkins out of my team for his biggest haul of the season and have him for the remaining. So that's going to feel really, really
Yeah.
cool.
You can't think that way though, right? You can't see my blood pressure's going down and I can actually form words again.
Good. Go
Yeah,
with
it's
it. Go with it.
yeah, yeah, I mean you just can't look backwards in all things really. Fantasy or real life, Brandon. There's
It's
no
true.
looking backwards is a crutch, you know? It holds you back. So I think you just bring Watkins back in and you deal with it. Oh wait, you have Paw too? Isn't he the guy that you burned for to try? Was it somebody else? Who was the defender that you were like really down on?
I was down on Pau Torres for sure. I don't think I
Uh-huh.
burned four to get rid of him, but so I can talk you through some of the decisions
Okay.
Pau Torres and
Yeah, let's hear it.
Chukwemeka on my bench, because here is what you discover when you try to get Son and Trippier. And this is somewhat independent of Salah because I don't have Salah here. You're
Hmm.
still really cutting it close to the edge. and I've gone for as cheap a goalkeeper rotation as I think you can get with Areola and Turner, and I have zero in the bank.
Okay.
So having zero in the bank means I can't get Matty Cash over Pau Torres. But I think what the takeaway was from last week was just the underlining of, hey, anyone who's not paying attention, Aston Villa are very good.
Yeah.
And the underlying numbers were reporting this for the first couple of weeks in the season. And I think now everyone is starting to come out of their days and accept this. And I think having a piece of the Aston Villa defense, it's like a light version of going in on the Newcastle defense. I think Villa will remain organized. So Pau Torres is just a fill in for not being able to get to an attacking Aston Villa defender. And
Yeah. So,
the injury to Estupinan does definitely open the door to having more of a stacked midfield and forward line, because players like Pau Torres or Dan Burn, who you have at 4.5, really sturdy, solid defenders going into week
yeah.
8.
Yep.
You're saving that much money. Chukwuemeka is 4.3. He would be the one of the reasons, he and Pau Torres would be the reasons why I would consider trying to do the Bukayo Saka dance on this
Hmm.
wild card. Which, where are you at in terms of Saka's pulse?
Yeah.
Basically, how injured is this man? Will he play against City, which is clearly a massive game for Arsenal? He's been called up to the England squad, which, like,
Yeah.
let this man sleep for a moment.
I don't really get it. I mean, but everything around international football is just like they don't care, right? Like they're just gonna call this. They just I don't know. So I think because it's like their job on the line, or I mean the Arteta thing. Somebody who wrote that. Somebody said Rob W said, "Is Arteta going to break Saka?" And it's definitely. I mean, Saka's young still. I don't think we're quite in the like Alexis Sanchez territory where it's just he's just played so much that he's like done. I mean, clearly he's already had a great season, but it's funny because I had made some comment a couple days ago about how it seems like he's always injured, and then someone was like, "Well, he started like 55 matches in a row or whatever," and I was like. Right. I guess it's not that he gets injured. It's just that he's every single match he gets hurt and he's rolling around on the floor in pain, right? Or the grass in pain, the pitch in pain.
Yes.
And so it feels like he's always injured, even if he doesn't technically miss any matches. And then Arteta just continues to play him, I mean, into the ground, really. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, we do see this with Holland as well with Man City. I mean, Holland basically never gets a rest either, but Holland does play a slightly more low pressure position, right? Holland is really never required to press, right? I mean, or very little at least. It's like he's not I doubt his like kind of kilometers amassed in a match is anywhere close to what Saka gets, right? I mean, Saka in some ways still has to kind of cover a little bit, right? He's kind of like a right back defensive shield at times, right? And like second covering defender. So I think I don't know, and it feels like he's clearly just being like run into the ground, and yeah, so I agree with you. I mean, my feeling right now is, I mean, the goal scoring odds came out this morning, and the clear anytime goal scorer favorite for game week 8 is Son. I don't have Son on my squad, and I'm probably just going to move Saka to Son because even if Saka
Hmm.
plays in that Man City match, it just doesn't really make. I don't know. I mean, it's like I don't know. I just and it's sort of two questions really because there's also the captaincy question. Like
Yep.
if I a stupid and also a Stupinan makes things interesting, right? Because if a Stupinan doesn't play, which he won't, sounds like he's officially out. I am going to have to start two Newcastle defenders away, so I could at West Ham, which doesn't
Hmm.
feel ideal, but West Ham did play in Europe today, so there might be a little bit of a Europa hangover there from them on Sunday. So I don't mind doing that. I wish Trippier was one of the two Newcastle defenders. Instead, it'd be Shar and uh, and Burn, right? And Burn is, I guess, technically a fullback, but he's not a fullback the way that Trippier is a fullback. And so I guess I could, in theory, um, not move Son, keep Saka, and then if he doesn't play, I get Callum Hudson-Odoi. It just doesn't feel right to me. And then
Yeah,
so then the question is, do
that's
I?
overthinking it a little bit, right?
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
underthinking it, maybe.
And the fact that Saka also plays Chelsea away in game week 9 kind of feels to me like you can get away with not having him for a couple weeks. Also, his price, I mean, he's at like 8.6, right? I mean, or 8.7. It's like it's not gonna be that hard to bring him back into your squad. It's gonna be quite easy, I think. And so he's some 12 million player that you just can't fit in, right? He started cheap
Yeah.
and he remains pretty cheap.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like take Sun for 2 weeks and then decide what to do later. So if I were you, and this is Taylor Ferguson was just asking, yeah, Dave was asking about the t-shirt. I am wearing my last cheetah standing t-shirt here, Brandon. In case do you have one of these,
Rock.
Brandon?
I do. Yeah. Of
Yeah.
course, shout out to Aloha Lounge, who is an
Yep. Got the little
incredible
patch
maestro
here.
with the design, and
Yeah. Of
Dave.
course, Dave. Yeah.
We work for Dave. Basically, is what it boils down to,
I
because
know.
he.
Dave, hey Dave, how about this? If you know how to get an episode link up before the show goes live, why don't you tell us? Because we don't know how to do that. We're clearly incompetent.
Yeah, Dave is
Yeah.
the only smart person in the Always Cheating community, and I mean no offense to everyone else in the community, but
Wasn't he the one? He was the one who
it's
was
true.
really mad about moving to Discord, wasn't he? But I feel
He
like
came around, Dave. You
he
came
came
around. Tell us
around.
how much you
Yeah,
love
yeah.
Discord now. You're a total
Yeah,
convert.
exactly.
Okay, so but yeah, to Taylor's question. So it's interesting to hear about your logic on just with the free transfer and thinking
It's
about how you're
fine.
going to approach Saka. But on Wildcard, I think it's another interesting twist there of do you even have him? Now, if you look at my team on the screen, what happens if I get rid of Saka? Saka
Right.
can be, I think, in a sort of like quasi like for like sense, turn into Jared Bowen.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't know
By the
if I
way,
go on.
this is kind of like slightly related, but I have been occasionally slightly lazily using the fixture difficulty ranking on the fantasy site instead of like a good fixture fantasy like fixture difficulty rating from Scout or Hub.
Hub, our
And
friends, the Hub.
one thing I realized recently, and maybe everybody else knows about this, is I did not quite understand how unsophisticated that fixture difficulty ranking is, and that it's literally just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when you do the fixture difficulty ranking, if you sort a particular game week by difficulty of fixture, they will literally
Yeah.
just go fixture number 1, and then it's alphabetical by team, right? And then fixture
This is
difficulty
more
number
of a
2,
Feist song
alphabetical
than a
by
fixture difficulty
yeah.
ranking. Am I
And
right?
so, but for me, it's like, but your eye kind of immediately, at least for me, it's like if I'm sorting by fixture, I'm looking kind of immediately at the team at the very top, right? And so I kept looking at it, I was like, wow, it's like Arsenal and Bournemouth are just dominating these easy
Yeah.
fixtures. But no, it's just that every 5 is exactly the same, and there's no gradient there. It's all so that might be, in other words, try not to use the fixture difficulty ranking. Yeah, I'm not sure why Luton home is a 2 either. That doesn't really make any
You
sense.
know what? You know what? My fixture difficulty ranking, not to be all sort of like hipster about it, but I click on the player and I look at their upcoming fixtures, like who they're playing.
Yeah.
And we know enough about these clubs to
Right.
understand
But
contextually
sure, but
what's
sometimes
coming.
like for example, I was just doing that. The reason I said this is because I was just doing it a couple days ago, right? I'm like, okay, or yesterday, I guess. Stupidan's out. Need to think about who I could maybe bring in if there's any, because basically, if I'm going to burn 4 for a defender, I want it to be a long term play, right? I'm not just going to, especially with a defender, I'm not going to target a particular fixture, right? Because it's just so many things can go wrong. But if you're like, well, it's an investment in their kind of long term potential, then I think those kind of moves can be accepted. So anyway, for that reason, I was looking at the fixture difficulty ranking. That's when that happened. But yeah, I think if I were in your case, I actually would not have Saka on a wild card. I would, and in fact, I feel pretty strongly about that because you're not invested that heavily invested in him. It's a great opportunity to get one up on people who don't have them. Chelsea away is an acceptable fixture, but it's not a good fixture, and so I think you could just go a couple of weeks and then bring it back later. If I were you, I guess. Oh man, I mean, the real question is whether you'd like have the stones to have Bruno again, right? Like just like go right back into it with Bruno. What about like Luis Diaz? Came on in the second half of the Liverpool match. I mean, you don't have any Liverpool coverage right now. Diaz scored that great goal that was, unfortunately chalked off. Almost certain to start this weekend, I would think. Would you consider a kind of cheeky punt like that on someone like Diaz?
Yeah, Diaz is a good shout. I have not considered him. Liverpool are away Brighton. Brighton's defense is diminished, and you've got the injury to Gakpo and the suspension for Jota. So the front line is almost certainly going to be Salah, Darwin, and Diaz.
Yeah.
Brighton playing at home. I don't, perhaps I'm going to push back a little bit on the Saka going at Levi Colwell against Chelsea. I think that sounds
Uh,
delicious to me. But
if he's
but
if he's healthy, right? I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
but
and that
yeah,
really is it. And it it is infuriating to me, and it's totally out of everyone's control. And I don't want to point a finger at Arteta nor at Saka, but Saka is such a fun player to have, and he's such a fantastic player. Yet he's just always shrouded in this mystery,
yeah,
which I find very annoying. Because I think I'm with you, Josh, in that I don't think I'm going to end up keeping Saka in this draft, and I think that is the point. So Luis Diaz, Jared Bowen. The one I've been playing around with most, I think, is James Ward Prowse in this position because, as I mentioned, I have zero in the bank. If I reclaim some of that money moving Saka to JWP, I can get a real player instead of Chukwemeka as my fifth mid. But
yeah.
then it's kind of like, well, do
We're
you
getting
need
some
one? I'm
shouts.
never going to play him, but you need
Yeah,
bench depth to a
we're,
degree.
we're getting some shouts for Bowen on the in the chat here, Brandon. And I can see a strong argument for Bowen. I mean, the his ceiling is certainly higher. And either way, you're freeing up a lot of money, right? Whether you go Bowen or James Ward Prowse, like you're still freeing up what at least a 1.2 million or something like that. I don't know what
Well,
Bowen's at
no,
right now.
Bowen is like 8 million at this point. He's oh wait, no, he's 7.3. Why did he was 8 million last season? That was the issue.
Sure.
That tells you how much I've been engaging with him as a pick this season. So yeah, and then if
So
I
yeah, Bowen.
do if I get Bowen or Ward Prowse, then I can move Pau Torres to Matty Cash because Cash assisted the goal in the Europa Conference League today
Yeah.
that McGinn scored. So again,
Yeah.
he continues with his attacking prowess.
I
I
think
mhm.
Diaby would be another shout if he's healthy, right? I think that would be another. Did he? I don't think he played today, did he?
He did not know.
Yeah, so he's flagged for the weekend. If he were available, he'd be another shout. I think, just because there is a nice run ahead for Villa, and he's honestly been. I mean, I feel like he's been a little slightly underrated as a fantasy asset. I mean, he's got 2 goals and 4 assists in the season, but he's only 6.7 million. So another I don't know. I guess there's just been too many midfielders, right? It's hard
There are
to
a lot to choose
talk
from
about them all.
for sure. And I think the idea of going without Salah is you say, hey, I get to get the best of the rest. And who is the best of the rest? Abby, Bowen, JWP, Diaz, all these players we're mentioning are up there. What seems for certain though is on a wild card you want to be tripled on Spurs, inclusive of Son and Madison. Now, a lot of discussion about Pedro Porro as an alt pick for Spurs fullback. Tell me, Josh, why one should consider not having Udagi in their team? Because I don't know if I'm just have Udagi tinted glasses, but
Yeah.
why is everyone not just like screaming from the rooftops about how good he is and why he should be a unanimous pick?
Well, I mean, I guess he hasn't returned in a few weeks, right? And so I don't know. I mean, and Poro has. So when's the last time? I guess a doggy
Recency
in game week.
bias.
Well, okay, but I'm just saying 2-0-1, and the last three for Udogi, and Poro has is basically the same price, right? I think he's what, like 0.2 million more expensive, and looks equally attacking. Ownership is lower, so there's kind of an argument for just going kind of like a little off the board with Poro. I
Zigging.
guess that would be zigging a little bit. I mean, it's only one additional attacking return for him, so it's not like one is. I don't know. They both look good. I mean, honestly, you could make a strong case for both of them if you didn't want to have Madison and Son, right? The problem is you can't have four, and so it feels like you've got to pick between one of those two Spurs defenders on a wild card. Because I do think you want to have Madison and Son. I do. Those both seem like, I don't know. They both seem like they're worth owning. I mean, even only for this Luton match, and then you kind of look at the game week 8 fixtures, and there's not like this like one absolute outside of the Spurs match. There's not like this one absolutely spectacular fixture, right? Fulham plays Sheffield at home, but you're not gonna have a Fulham midfielder. I suppose you could go Eze as like another Saka like short term punt. That'd be like a real off the board pick. I don't know. I mean, I don't. You don't seem like, you don't strike me as an Eze kind of guy.
I love Eze, but I'm not striking you as a fantasy manager who picks
Yeah,
Eze up
you love him
on a
like
wild card.
an esteemed colleague, right? You love him like a
No,
like the
I
person in your finance department who always
no.
gets your checks approved right away, something like that,
I thought
right?
you were gonna say I love him in a steamy sort of what's that, the book that's topping the charts right now, The Fourth Wing, spicy adult fantasy romance. That's more how I
Well,
picture me and Eze.
why don't you just get Bruno then? I mean, they play a reeling
Wait.
Brentford.
Manchester United. I don't know if you've picked up the papers, if you've been on
Yeah,
Fleet Street recently, but Manchester
yeah.
United have been lit on fire and thrown into the sea.
Okay, well, okay. Here, let's just take a step back here then, okay? Because I see what's going on now. My eyes are open. Okay,
Uh huh.
I think that you just, you rate Saka, and I think that you don't really want to choose anybody else, right? You just want him, and so you're kind of poking holes in every option so that you can kind of stick with the status quo Salah option here. And whoever you get is going to have to be a little bit of a risk, and so I don't know. I mean, you probably should just go with Jared Bowen, honestly. That probably the most
Yeah, well,
sensible thing.
I haven't poked any holes in the West Ham picks at all. I like both of the West Ham, Bowen and JWP. I think. I mean, somebody in the chat make a case for having Bruno or anybody back to front on Manchester United. I would love to hear it.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
and now that you know that Bowen's not 10.5 million or whatever you thought he was,
yeah,
it's
I
even
thought he
more
was out of
important.
my grasp. yeah, yeah, he's too premium for my taste, for sure.
uh,
All right. So midfield, other than we
yeah.
haven't talked about Odegaard in this midfield. Thumbs up, thumbs down,
Yeah.
thumbs in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the question here is that you've chosen not to get Salah, right? Which I guess that's the like kind of, if you don't get Salah, then Odegaard makes sense, I think. I think if you had Salah, I mean, I guess that would be the real off the board option here, which is to drop Odegaard and Saka and get Salah and somebody cheap. I don't know if you have the money to do that or not. I mean, Odegaard and Saka, something like 17 million, Salah's 12.5. So that leave you with 4.5. It thins you out quite a lot. So it probably isn't worth
Yeah,
doing.
the
Yeah.
just is certainly I did a fair share of Salah drafts before I got to this, and if Salah comes in for Odegaard or Saka, Watkins has to go to Archer. I mean, if there was somebody
Right.
cheaper than Archer, sure. But there is a bias I have, for better or
Yeah.
worse, about having three playable forwards. Archer, the appeal of Archer is that he does get minutes, he does start, but I just think that always we get these really cheap forwards every season,
Yeah.
and the allure is their price, and we look beyond the fact that they play for the always the most horrible teams in the division. So I
Yeah.
just don't. I it's not going to make me happy. It it doesn't feel
Yeah, I
fun
get
for
that.
me
I
to
get it. I get it.
and then Trippier would have to go, and I believe playing a wild card in this window, and when I say wild card in this window, meaning I don't feel like I'm playing it like super early or super late. Like in this moment of time, it feels like the Trippier window.
Yeah.
And why why would you not get Trippier in this window if you're wild carding? So it's the three up front and the Trippier that ultimately just feel like Salah is not possible for the way I want to go out. I was talking to our buddy Timbo on the Discord about just the shrewd calculus of have how many weeks this week, and I think, yeah, there's a problem where you try to measure your gains and losses game week by game week and not over the course of the season, and that's what we always talked about what Kane was doing last season. But,
Yeah.
like, game week to game week, has Salah ever killed you? Well, this season, maybe one game week, maybe 2. Um, and there is this just logic that comes out of that where you feel like you can kind of spread out the difference across your team and cover
Yeah.
yourself and believe that Salah's not going to kill you.
Yeah. I think that's fair. It's interesting. I'm trying. Yeah. I guess if I were on a wild card, I probably wouldn't have Watkins, and I would try to find a way to get Salah personally.
Yep.
But I do. I do understand what you're doing here. I mean, I think you do have to drop Saka at least temporarily. The thing is, you can move Odegaard or Son or even Madison to him later.
Yep.
But I think you've got to. That bench is so thin right now, and I, I don't know. It feels like I guess you've got Burn, so you do have like one kind of play. But Kabore is effectively a non-playing player, right? You're not going to get anything from
I
him. And
don't disagree.
yeah,
I don't disagree. I agree.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that the main thing that changes here, and you've certainly solidified my stance there, is that Saka goes, and that's exciting because then if you imagine Matty Cash comes in, Chukwuemeka becomes an actual bench player. And
yeah,
I guess my last question then there for the chat and for you, Josh, is who does Chukwuemeka become? Because once I tried a JWP in place of Saka draft, and then it became a wow, I'm gonna have a 3 forwards who I want to start every week, and then I'm gonna have like a 6 million midfielder who I have to bench every
yeah.
week. It's sort of like how much, and it's okay. The first
What
question
about?
is not
Yeah,
even like
yeah.
who
Go
you
ahead.
want to get, but how much is too much or just enough to spend for a fifth midfielder position if you're in a 3-4-3.
Well, I think we've got got the festive fixtures coming up. I think I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just like guilty of like recency here a little bit, but I do think you
Neto,
can make
the
an
chat
argument.
says.
Well, Neto, but Neto was what 5'5". I mean, that to me is that's too much. I think. I mean, I don't know. Like the problem is, I'd be tempted to play him all the time if I had him. Is he up to like 6 now?
He's
He's
in.
at 5'7". I would not have a player as expensive as Neto on my bench. I think Suchek would be a player you could consider. He's only 4.9 million. So that
It's a
doesn't
good one.
require
Yeah.
a dramatic
Yeah, he scored some
move
goals
there.
recently. More than
I
one.
think I mean, you can kind of go two ways with a player like that, right? You can with a bench option, you can go with the kind of Suchek. You can basically go with like the central midfielder on a good team, right? So it's like or a decent team, like Enzo Fernandez. I guess I can't really call Chelsea a good team right now, but Enzo Fernandez or Suchek, right? Where it's like they have a couple different routes to points because the team is going to score goals, right? Or you can go with the kind of talismanic cheapy, right? Like a Hamer on Sheffield or gosh, there aren't like a ton of there aren't like a ton of great options,
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, Elliot Anderson's been getting some minutes for Newcastle. He's only 4.4, but I wonder if you
He's
want to
playing in
have,
that like Joe Linton position, and
yeah,
Joe Linton has been he's really struggled to come back from injury. He comes back, gets injured again. And
yeah,
Elliot Anderson scored Red Bull Arena this summer when we were there.
That's right. That's right. I
He
think
knows
I
the
think
business.
yeah, I think, and he's 4.4. So it's maybe worth the risk. The problem then is that you would
Take
you
up
know
a
you
Newcastle
you take
spot.
up a Newcastle spot, so then you couldn't have Isak or Wilson
Hannibal,
or
Xavier says. Did you
Hannibal.
see this on the Discord, Josh? Speaking of Hannibal, because I know he was your
Dogging him.
ex dog and him pick. Uh, our friend Nick, who lives in the Southern California area and has ties to the film industry, posted this incredible Discord. Go to the Ask Josh and Brandon channel on the Discord. Posted this
Okay.
incredible picture of he got a screener of the movie Strays, sponsor of the X Dog and Him feature on
Wait,
Always Cheating.
really?
Yeah, and the DVD, or I assume it's a Blu-ray of Strays, came with a frisbee. The frisbee says, "Strays, go fetch yourself," which I really enjoy that.
That's
So,
pretty good.
listen, I don't know why Nick was so surprised because, as you know, by the reoccurring feature, they've spared no expense in the promotion and marketing of this film.
Of course.
But if anybody sees any other Strays merchandise out there in the world, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, how prominently were we featured? Was there are we on the
I think
cover
on
or
the
are
back of
we
the press release, our
yeah,
our logo might be
okay.
featured. Yeah, or maybe it's covered up by the frisbee and we can't see it. Because yeah, we asked them to put some always cheating decals in
Okay.
the promo box. I don't know
All
if they
right.
came through or not. So.
I like by the way, I'm breaking. This is my drinking hiatus. I've gone almost 2 weeks without having a drink, Brandon. So I
Wow,
broke it
2 weeks.
for
Good
this
for you.
YouTube, but just yeah,
Nice.
just to be, just for to be a little healthier.
Sometimes you got to
But
reset. What are you drinking?
exactly. Just some wine. My sister was here from France and she brought us some. They smuggled some wine across the border or across the pond, and so I'm drinking some of that.
Incredible. Yeah.
And
No
yeah, but
bad wine in France.
I got to get myself ready too because I'm going to see Nick Cave tomorrow, Brandon, at the King's Theater, and I'm definitely going to be
Nice.
drinking for that. So I need to kind of get my
Feel
body
the
used to
bass.
alcohol again. Yeah, exactly. Before I do that,
Nice.
so it's a solo piano show. Nick Cave solo piano. That sounds very. Any Nick Cave fans out there? Well, let me know.
I
Hit
mean,
me
he's
up.
got some ties to Australia. And we've got a lot of Aussies in the chat, I expect. So
Sure,
surely there
sure.
are some.
Well, he is.
I
He doesn't have ties. He is Australian. He's
I call those
full.
ties.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's true. Those are significant ties.
Yeah, and not talking about the hit movie School Ties, which failed
Yeah.
to sponsor Always Cheating because we weren't a
Uh,
podcast back then. But
all right.
I
So
think
we've
that's the last word
yeah.
on the wild card,
Yeah,
right? Like,
I think so. I think we've done some good talk there. I like the Turner Areola duo. By the way, I think
yeah,
that's a nice combination. I think it makes sense. I guess you know what? I guess I can share my screen now. Why don't I do that? And I can show what I'm doing. And then why don't we talk about the
share away,
captaincy,
mate.
Brandon? Let's do
Yeah,
that. Let's do it. Okay, here we go. Sharing screen tab. There we go. Okay, good. All right. So here's what I've got going into. Oh, actually, let me go to the pick teams. It's a little easier to look at here. Oh, my horrible overall rank. It's there for all to see, Brandon. Uh,
it's
so
humiliating.
it is humil. I don't enjoy it. I do not enjoy it. So I've got Saka, I've got Estupinan, and I guess otherwise my team is okay. I mean, I don't really love starting Carlton Morris, to be quite honest, either. I guess I could start Hudson Odoi over him. I don't know. That doesn't really seem logical either. So, um, yeah, I kind of hate my team this week, to be totally honest. It's I have Salah, I've got Mboma. I think Morris, I've just got to ride and just hope that game is like a goal fest. I don't like
Yeah.
having 4 players in the first game though. It's too many, right? It's like if it doesn't go well, it's like it feels like your weekend's over. But there, that's where we are.
You're gonna
So
shoot out of bed at 7:30 a.m. Your family's gonna
yeah,
appreciate that anyway.
that's true.
You're gonna
That's
be
true.
all in. If things go
Yeah.
terribly in that match, you're gonna be all in on making breakfast for anybody. If I like, is that right? Like terrible 7:30 kickoff. You're like turning it off. I'm making pancakes. Who wants
Yeah.
pancakes?
Yeah. I think that's probably what's going to happen. Actually, is I'll just we'll get Son will go off an injury in the 30th minute, and there'll be goals on both sides that don't involve any of my players somehow. So okay, yeah. So the situation is that and my defense looks kind of weak. My forward line looks a little weak, and then I got him in my midfield line also looks kind of weak. So I'm sort of kind of 0 for 3 right now, Brandon. I think Udogi, sure. Madison, okay. Alvarez and Holland, fine. Salah, good. Only played half the match. Don't love the double up with Burn and Shar, obviously, but it seems like that's what I'm going to have to do. And I'm leaning towards Saka to Sun uh, because I just think Sun's got a lot of upside there. And then that leads me right to the captaincy question, which is Sun, Salah, Holland, or player X, player to be determined. What do you? I mean, I have it on Holland right now, but I don't. But that's partially because I haven't brought Sun in yet.
Yeah,
I don't like captain a player in the first match, but it kind of feels ridiculous not to captain Sun for that Luton Town match.
possibly. I think that given everything that's happened or not happened for that matter with Holland, even he didn't score. He played a full 90 in the Champions League this week. Nary a goal.
Yep.
Great hold up play for the Doku goal. We can
Mm-hmm.
say that much for
Yep.
him.
Yep. He's doing all the little
Beyond
things,
that, though,
Brandon.
I just don't. I don't think that there's that much in it between Holland and Son. I feel like it's a game week where it's being dramatized by really engaged FPL managers who are looking for an edge. I still think when it boils down, it's really just a coin flip between Holland, Son, and Salah. I really do. So, my theory would be just go with. I hate to say go with your gut because why are people listening to us if that's the advice? But I
I don't
kind
think
of like
people listen to us
Holland.
for
I kind of
advice.
like Holland.
Yeah, I what I like is having Holland for the final match. Like that's sort of fun. It's always fun to have a captain in the final match of the game week. But I wouldn't say that I think having it. I mean, he just doesn't seem like the top pick, right? He's probably playing what might be his most difficult match of the season in Arsenal away. Maybe Newcastle away would be maybe Liverpool away. I don't know. Uh, Man City have really taken it to Arsenal in the Arteta era. Certainly did last season, and so um,
No
it
Rodri.
does. Yeah, they don't have Rodri. That's true. Um, I think that it just feels like this is like a week when it probably is logical to go with someone who is not Holland, and I just again, it's like if you reverse them, if the Arsenal Man City match was the first match on Saturday and Son was playing in Luton the
Yeah,
final
sure.
match on Sunday, I feel like I would have Son unquestionably, right? Because
Fair.
I would be so fun to look forward to my captain playing the last match of the game because I can't tell if there's some part of me that is like a little bit like avoiding Son because I just don't want to be disappointed if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And that's just not probably the smart way to play. I can remember a Boxing Day years ago with a friend of the podcast, Sir Trevor, and he and I met up, and we went to the Black Horse, and in fact, the Black Horse wasn't even open yet. Surprise, surprise! It didn't open up at 7:30 a.m. on the Saturday after Christmas, and
Uh-huh.
so we went to a nearby like diner or something like that until the doors opened,
They were
and
playing the games at the diner.
no, but we watched on our phone. And I remember Harry Kane had like 2 goals and an assist in that match. And I had not captained Kane because I didn't want to have a captain for the first. It was like, in boxing, it's like usually it's like 9 or 10 of the teams play that very day. Right. And so I was
Hmm.
like, I want to have, I got this whole day of matches here. I don't want to blow my captaincy right off the bat. And then the whole rest of the day, I was just like, destroyed because I was like, why didn't I just go with this like smart captain pick? I can't remember who they were playing. It was Bournemouth or something like that. But I was like, why didn't I just go with like the logical captain pick? And it's just like Son is playing Luton Town. He has scored a bunch of goals recently. He is a lot of the other teams had difficult matches this weekend. It just kind of makes sense. Like there's just kind of it's just kind of logical. And Salah, I think, is fine as well, just because Brighton are absolutely shipping goals right now. They're
For Sala in the chat, home and hose, Sala best option this week. Xavier, I'm on Sala. So yeah, I think there's lots of love for Liverpool and Sala right now.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think Salah is a perennially good pick. I think that I mean, and I also think you can make an argument for just going with Salah or Holland every single week, right? They're the two premier goal scorers in the Premier League, arguably. Inarguably, I don't know. Certainly, it's an argument. And So yeah, I think there's certainly like a logic there, but I don't know. So if anything, I think the fact that not everyone is on Sun makes it even more fun, right? And so maybe I'm just like really building a case now, and I'm just sticking to my guns here. But I think that would be the argument. I think Liverpool, the argument would be that they're playing well. Maybe they're a little maybe they have a little fire under them because of the Premier League completely hosing them over the weekend, and I mean, we haven't even talked about the video. I thought we were going hard on the Premier League, Brandon, when we did that podcast on Sunday night, and then everything that happened afterwards made it feel like we actually didn't even go hard enough. Like it was like it was incredible, right? I mean, what else can you say? Like, did you listen to the audio of the
I did.
VAR
I
thing?
thought it was, it made me very, it filled me with anxiety how fast everybody was talking and like why and not actually communicating.
Yeah.
I
There was
I I,
also
I
imagine if it was like there was when there's 6 games on, right? This is literally one single match on. Like what is it like when there's like 5 matches all being played simultaneously, right? Do they have VAR for every single? Does
I
every single
bel
match have a VAR?
I think so. I think
Okay,
they do.
okay,
I could be, yeah. I mean, I mean, God, just listening to that, like, how could they not?
yeah,
But I don't really know what to say about it. We didn't discover anything other than what we knew was true. It's just you've got
yeah,
lower. You just don't have a high enough caliber of official in the league, whether it's on the pitch or in the VAR booth. Long
yeah,
story short,
yeah,
I thought I
yeah,
was listening to the second captains and they were having a chat about it. And I can't remember how Ken Early got himself into this corner, but he's like, man, I feel like I'm talking like a libertarian when it comes to this.
yeah. That's a
And
fun
like,
thought. Yeah,
it was like Miguel Delaney
God.
or somebody responded saying, like, yeah, a libertarian would say, like, arm the officials.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I feel like that podcast, I was like that Antonio Banderas meme, you know, the one where he leans back in his
Uh,
chair. That was me for the entire I think I'm gonna go back and listen to it again later this week because there's just nothing I enjoy more than extended conversations about
yeah.
how much VAR sucks. Like, I mean, it's not even that I have a problem with it. Like, again, seriously, I do not have a problem with offside reviews being, especially like the semi-automated stuff that they're talking about doing. That's like they have it in tennis and it works fine, right? It's like you said, it's so incompetently run, and until you have faith that it can be run better, it's hard to love it, or have any faith in it. So anyway, back to fantasy though. I got a sidetracked here a little bit, Brandon. So I could make a -4, but I don't love any -4 defender moves this week. I guess the only one that I would consider doing is Matty Cash. And let's kind of play this out here, right? So Matty Cash comes in um, for the Wolves match. And I burned 4, right? So kind of instantly, I need a clean sheet for Matty Cash just to get 2 points, right? Need a clean sheet just to get 2 points. I don't think you can ever bank on an attack in return from a defender, especially one who's not like Trent Alexander-Arnold levels of attacking, or even Trippier, right? So, and he certainly hasn't even really been that until this. Yeah, as Taylor said, it worked in the world. It worked in the World Cup. VAR can work. I don't want to sound anti-VAR. I'm anti the way it's been implemented. So if I brought in uh if I bring in cash, I'm looking for a clean sheet just to basically break even on the transfer, right? Because there's at least a chance that Newcastle can keep a clean sheet in that West Ham game. I don't think that's impossible. That game could be a 0-0, right? Or like a
Yeah.
1-0 or something like that. Even with West Ham's form, I think if West Ham had the entire week off, maybe I'd feel differently. But they just played a Europa League match. I feel like that always takes a little bit out of people, and so then it's like, am I gonna burn a transfer in the hopes that I can maybe get as many points that I expect to get from Shar or Burn, and it just doesn't really work. Like I just
Doesn't
don't think
wash.
it doesn't wash exactly. And so um I guess the other move I hadn't even thought about. I actually don't think I have the money for this. I definitely don't. Would be to go Morris to some other forward and go kind of the other way, right? Which is like to take the big upgrade. But I think Luton.
What are the options? I'm curious now. Well, so you got what, 2 million in the bank?
Well, once if I move Saka to Sun, then
Uh,
suddenly I'm looking at about 1 million, and
oh,
so
you're
I
thinking
need
of a
somebody.
-4 to move Morris
Yeah,
out.
oh yeah, I think Sun is almost definitely going to move in for me.
Okay.
It's also for what it's worth. That's an FPL review approved move as well. That's the move that they
Oh, thank
suggest
God.
doing.
Yeah.
Well, I know you like to hate on this stuff, but it's use. I like going in there and looking at this stuff. I think it's useful to just see what the bots suggest. I believe me, I do not do what they suggest the vast majority of the time, but I enjoy finding out what they suggest. And so it is. Saga to Sun is like a far and away the best move that I could make this week.
Alan
It,
Bigelman just subscribed on YouTube. Alan, you're the man.
There we go. All right. Yeah, I think, and Belmo I'm kind of fine with. And so I think I'm just going to have to roll it out with a kind of crappy defense and hope that it works out. And I just, to me, it's like burning 4, burning 8. It doesn't feel like the right week for that, right? Because again, if you look at who would I be targeting, like, okay, I'm not going to burn 4 for a Crystal Palace defender. They don't get enough attacking returns. I'm not going to burn 4 for a Fulham defender. They don't get enough attacking returns, right? It's like, again, if I'm going to burn points for a defender, I want there to be 2 ways for them to get points. Manicash is as close as it gets, but he still isn't quite dominant enough, especially for an away match. If they were playing Wolves at home, I would probably consider it a little more strongly. But again, Wolves just beat Man City at home, right? And I'm not saying that like it's obviously different circumstances there, but I don't know why suddenly they're like back to being an easy clean sheet for Aston Villa, right? Like I think that is going to be a tricky match. Especially, I presumably that's a huge confidence boost for Wolves too, right? To get that win, and so I think that they will put a pretty good foot forward in that match. Also, they haven't played in Europe this week as Villa have. So if
On
anything,
the
you should not
contrary,
be.
they got their 3 points from City and they say, don't need them anymore. We're
Yeah, well,
safe.
there you
They're
go.
home.
All right,
They're
well,
home and
Daniel
dry.
Brubaker's taking a -4 for Tim Ream this week. I, I
The
wouldn't do that,
disrespect to
but I'm
Sheffield
not.
United is incredible. I love it.
I know. That's true. I guess it's like you just feel like it's like a guaranteed 2 points, right? I mean, Ream's not going to get you anything, right? Does he even get bonus points? I don't know. Is he a bonus point guy, Ream?
It depends on the match.
Yeah.
Fulham, very tricky proposition there because usually a clean sheet, the bonus goes to Jay Leno because of his monologue and his saves that he makes.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Those wonderful monologues.
I don't. I mean, Ream is one of those guys where he pops up at the top of the defender list just by virtue of just how the early season is shaken out. Fulham, I don't want to be. I don't really want to be on board for that ride unless it's Leno who's getting save points because yeah, it's really all or nothing with defenders, and
Yeah.
there are no
Okay.
other routes to
Okay.
points unless it's Leno.
And to give Daniel Brubaker some credit, he says it's either that or Kabore, and I really would not want to start Kabore in this, especially in this particular
No.
match. That feels like a suboptimal situation. So okay,
The
fine,
worst thing
Daniel.
about Kabore is he gets subbed off like around the 60th minute. You don't even know if you're going to get 60 from him. Plus
Yeah,
the added factor of Luton being absolutely
yeah.
horrible.
And Timmy says we're taking a -4 in defense to get the money from Saka to see again. This is what we get, Brandon, with this real time discussion, right? Is
Good
perspective
ideas.
because you and I, this happened just on Sunday, right? We were talking about, well, who actually owns What were we talking about? It was
Solanke.
Solanke. It's like, who actually owns Dominic Solanke? Basically, it was like everybody's kid owns
Yeah,
Dominic
he's big
Solanke. Like
popular
every,
among the young people of
yeah, basically every.
of the world.
It was like everyone who responded was like a parent of a kid, and everyone had a kid who had Solanke, and on that kid in every case was like 85K overall. Right? They were all doing super well, and we just have.
Does
I mean,
Solanke
I
have
actually
like a
like
hit
Solanke
song
too. I
about
don't.
like bananas or
Yeah,
teddy bears or something that we don't know about?
I don't know. I don't know that teenagers like bananas and maybe bananas. Who doesn't like a banana, Brandon?
High in potassium.
That's true. All right, what do we do? So that's where we are. I'll keep my team up just so you don't have to
Chris
look at our
McCartney
faces
subscribed.
the whole time.
Chris,
There we go.
some people
Yeah.
shout out people giving them money on YouTube. I'm just shouting out people who
Well, we're
actually
not even.
click subscribe.
Well, we're so bad about promoting the YouTube that we're not even at 1,000 subscribers. So if
We're
anyone, by the way,
close.
has like knowledge of YouTube and how to like get stuff going, basically, like if someone wants to, like, we would be interested in having like an intern producer where do some video production stuff for us,
Yeah,
so we can get ourselves rolling
that
here a
sounds
little
good.
bit. Yeah, so let us know if you want to, if you're interested in throwing your hat in the ring for that. I know I'm just kind of saying that off the fly, Brandon, but I think it's worth it'd be worth
Hey,
some
listen,
of
nobody goes to
someone who knows what they're doing.
monster.com anymore, so we got to just put the job opportunities right there in front of people's faces.
Yeah. Also, like our
Can't remember
Twitter
last time
links.
we had an Indeed ad on our
Also, I'm not sure what it's gonna be like to share our podcast links anymore on Twitter. It's just gonna be an image. It's just it's gonna be. Have you seen this yet? It's like
No.
there's no links anymore. He took away
Uh,
all the link text, so it's
why?
literally just
Why?
an image. You don't think it's, unless you click on it. You anyway. It doesn't matter. It's that's a, I don't keep rambling on here. Why don't we take there? I know there's some questions in the chat, but I posted a couple on here that I thought were interesting. Let's at least do the top two here, Brandon. First one's from JC. It says, "Hey guys, do you think a -8 this week to keep the wild card in hand for further down the line is a good tactic?"
Um, sorry, I got totally sucked into this, all these notes. Okay. Hey guys, -8 to keep the wild card. Oh no, I disagree with this tactic, and I guess the reason I say that without seeing your team in front of me is this is the season to wild card. And if you're already taking a -8, I feel like the way you get to a -8 is I feel like these are crucial changes that I have to do. And the
Yeah,
wild card is some sort of special formula of I've got some things I need to do plus some things I'd like to do. So if you're on a -8, I feel like you're skimping on the things that you'd like to do. So just look at your team and think all the other
yeah.
cool stuff you could do on the wild card. So I mean, do you
I'm
agree with this?
Yeah, I am inclined to agree. I mean, I guess the only reason for the later wild card, I think, um, would be to have Salah a little more easily, right? He's like the one who the fixtures get a little bit better in a couple of weeks. But other than that, I'm agreed. I in general, I think our friend Dave is kind of known for this. He likes to hold that wild card just about as long as he possibly can, and likes to deploy it around game week 17 or 18.
Tantric.
And yeah, and to me, yeah, exactly. Whereas I'm just not sure I see the edge. I think that it's still early enough in the season that a wild card, you can take advantage of a lot of price rises. Maybe not this late, right? A day before the deadline, but I think so I guess I'm agreeing with everything you said about how you can kind of remake the entire squad, and I also
Mhm.
just don't know. And actually, I'm gonna bring this to my next. I'm gonna bring in the next question here, Brandon,
Please do.
because it ties in with this a little bit. It's from Jimmy Rogdog Town. Okay, Raj Dog Town, whatever.
Raj
Raj
Dom.
Dog Town.
Yeah,
Okay,
he cleared that up on the Discord. I think. I think I'm remembering that correctly.
okay.
Let's
Well,
pretend I remember it
you
correctly.
didn't clear it up in capital letters and bold and highlighted. As he says, "What is your favorite, least or most trend in FPL analysis?" Quotation marks. He says, "For me, low blocked becoming trendy, smart person's way to say a team is defensive is actually very, very funny. Someone actually had used low block on the chat here, Brandon. So we might have a fight going on here between low block lovers and low block haters. I agree that in general, the thing about saying low block is usually you're talking about a team that's bad, right? That are bad concede goals. So it's like there are certain cases where there's like a kind of highly defensive team, like a Burnley in their prime, or I don't know. I'm not even sure if they really use low blocks, but like to be honest, I don't even really know what it. I mean, I guess I know what it means, like in a literal sense, but I don't feel like I watch matches often thinking, there's that mighty low block being deployed.
Well, it just means you sit deep and you're compact.
Right.
It's basically what Liverpool were forced to do against Spurs for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was actually really interesting to watch Spurs basically be like, we have no idea how to get through. Like, this is not anything that we've prepared for. But yeah, I tend to agree in that it's like not a terribly interesting way to analyze a match. It's sort of like, all right, they sat in a low block. Next point. What is the next point?
We're crushing poor Xavier, who talked about the low block before. Sorry, Xavier. It's
well, I mean, it's obviously a true tactic, and I wouldn't want to diminish that. It does remind me a little bit of whenever I played Madden, like the NFL video game. The only defense I ever really knew how to run or trust was the prevent defense. I'm not sure I could spot a prevent defense if I was watching Monday Night Football, but seems like the same thing. Basically, like prevent defense.
Well, so I mean, the prevent defense is like that's like we want you to score slowly. I guess actually maybe in some ways it is kind of what the low block is like.
You're conceding the near territory and exclusion of the far.
Yeah, but to me it's like yeah. I mean, I guess it just feels like in general, eventually the goals start flowing, right? And so it's kind of like I don't know. It's like I mean, it works for a time, but in general, I mean, I feel like when the good teams play the bad teams, they score a lot of goals, and that's so low block or no. And eventually, if you score a couple of goals, then the other team has to. I mean, yes, there is a strategy of deploying a low block, and if you can keep it to a 0-0 or a 1-0, you can sort of keep that intact. But generally, what happens is eventually they break you down and they score a goal or two, and you kind of have no choice but to get out and try to unless your goal is just to die slowly in the match, you're going to have to go out and attack a little bit, and that's when the low block doesn't work any longer, right? If you're on 2-0, you're not going to keep deploying a low block, right? It's sort of pointless. Like you've already lost. The only time I ever think I really saw that was last year when I'll never Smith when Leicester played away to Newcastle, and he chose a draw instead of trying to play for a win. And guess what happened, Brandon? Leicester City is now playing in the championship, and I blame Dean Smith for that at least a little bit. All right. Anyway,
he didn't play for a draw. He didn't play for a draw. I have an axe to grind here, though. On Roger, this is I just want to squeeze this in because it's something I've actually been thinking about all week, and I wasn't going to mention it, but now this question brings it up. I've been watching a lot of Mark Goldbridge on YouTube. Now, this is a guy who is just like insanely successful on YouTube, whereas we are not. And he's I think he's a Manchester United fan. I mean, all he does is scream about this club all of the time. But listening to him has made me understand how I actually despise anyone who trots out this argument. Whether it's analysis, it's typically analysis of if you disagree with me, then you don't know anything about football. And if you ever hear anyone argument is compounded by then you don't know anything about football, it's just like turn it off. Look away. Horrid. It's exclusive. It's always false. And it usually masks the fact that they don't know what they're talking about. So
it's so defensive, right? Yeah. I have one. I have a pet peeve that is more FPL specific, I suppose. Which, and I've mentioned this, I think, before in a Patreon pod. But I feel like there is so much energy in the in like fantasy, and again, this is like a meta thing, right? This is like, but that's what somebody asked me what a pet peeve was, so I'm gonna I think it's okay. I try to avoid too much meta fantasy conversation. I used to do more of it and
We're
try to
amongst
avoid it now.
friends here, Josh.
We're amongst friends here, exactly. So what I don't like is how much energy seems to be built around telling you that you are fine the way things are. Like, oh, Sun's price just went up. Ugh, I should have made that. Well, you know what? I wouldn't have made the move anyway because I am too superstitious about that stuff. I don't like to make it right before a press conference. I have to know that the player is. I'll take the hit on that one. I knew I had enough money to make the move anyway.
You've got money.
Anyway,
Don't worry about
yeah,
it.
but
You're secure.
the energy, basically, it's like a way to be like, you are okay, like this kind of feeling like you don't need to make a move, you don't need to make a transfer, steady the course, stay the road. And it's like, sometimes it works, sure, like you're usually, you brought in a player for a reason, but in general it feels like uh it just feels too conservative to me. And it's like, it's why, like, I feel like if you follow everything to the letter that like sort of gets advocated in these spaces, like it's almost impossible to have like a truly great season, because it's like it always hedges towards being a little more conservative, playing it safe, not taking any risks, not doing it. And I just find it very annoying. And it feels like sometimes there's like no kind of middle ground, at least kind of in the content creation space, where there's like the crazy Mavericks, right? The like, I'm gonna I'm gonna move Holland for a -12 this week, right? But it's like there's that, and then there's like, don't make a move. And sometimes it's like there's not like an in between. And it's like sometimes I wish like a little more creativity was driven towards, this is an interesting transfer that no one's talking about right now, right? Here's something that I saw this weekend. And I'm not saying nobody does this or that it never happens, but I guess I would just like to see more of it. And it's just funny to me how often the conversation revolves around whether you should stay the course. And the conclusion is almost always, yes, you should stay the course. And that is like a little pet peeve of mine, which is just, it feels a little,
Yeah.
it's just like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like people, and I think that people do it because people want to hear it. Like, you want to hear that, right? You want to hear that you don't have to do anything, that everything's fine. And but it's just like, to me, it's like, as a
Is it part of
strategy,
the
it's a
like
little
patience,
conservative.
virtuistic sort of FPL management? Is that what that translates into? Of like, don't knee jerk to like previous
Yeah,
game
I
week
mean, that's what they
results?
always say, but it's like, I mean, yeah, okay, yes. If your plan is always that I'm going, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, what I'm
Yeah.
talking about is like, what I want is like someone to be like, hey, if you look at the, even Jonty, was kind of good at like, right. It's like, here's what his like goals imminent table, right? Like,
Yeah.
here's,
Right. Right.
it's a very simple thing. Like, anyone could do this kind of stuff, right? But yeah, I feel like you don't see it as much as I would like to see, at least,
So
which
what
is
you're
like,
looking for
here's
is
a bunch
not
of underlying
necessarily
data.
like crazy Mavericks who are just like, here's a way to we'll see if our friend Jeremiah is out there listening. Here's a quick way to blow up your team, but maybe maybe you could
Yeah,
somehow
there's
finish top 100 in the world. You're looking
yeah.
for actual crazy picks that are backed up by
Well,
sound
but they're
FPL maintenance, right?
but I wouldn't call them crazy. I would call them
Yeah. All right.
strategic choices that
All right.
are sort of new to me, right? Like, we were talking about FPL review earlier. One of the reasons I like FPL review and like popping in there, and in fact support the podcast via Patreon, is because, or support, not, they're not podcast, support the website via Patreon, is
You better
because,
not be a podcast. We can't
yeah,
take the
exactly.
heat.
Competitor. Yeah, exactly. Support, no, but I support them. Whatever it is, it's a couple bucks. It's cheap, but like, it's because I get fresh ideas from them, and sometimes I feel like, I talked a little bit on Sunday's pod about the kind of template team, and it almost feels like in certain spaces, and maybe I'm just on FPL Twitter too much. I'm certain that I am. It's like the game is like, for a certain portion, it's like solved, right? It's like, this is the optimal move, and it's like, we're all going to rise and fall together on the waves, and it's like, just that to me is not an especially interesting way to play. And I'm not also convinced it's a way to play that's conducive to doing really well. I mean, yes, if you follow the strategy to the letter, are you going to finish like in the top 300K? Almost certainly, right? Can you do better than that? I don't know, right? It's sort of not necessarily. So I mean, I shouldn't say not necessarily, because of course some of them do, but like, uh, I don't know. I maybe I'm just like going on here a little bit, but I just get a little sick of people being too conservative. That would be
Yeah.
that's my pet peeve. Do you have any other pet peeves you got here?
No, I think basically going full attack on Mark Goldbridge live on YouTube. I hope I hope he and Ben Foster talk about this on the Cycling GK. That would be very very
Yeah.
fun for
I'm not
me.
yeah. Home and Host says positive. I think he was being sarcastic about positive. I'm not saying positive. I think it's fine to be positive. I think the space I think positive is good. It's just I'm talking about being conservative in your picks. That's what I
Yeah.
would like to see less of.
Yeah. Should
Okay.
we? Okay. So there are a couple of things that I think we should still do tonight. Maybe there are
Hmm.
a couple of other questions you want to throw out there, Josh, but I think we should
Yeah.
also read off the top 10 of the Patreon League because
Yeah. Let's
we're
do it.
doing this for our patrons. And also, I've got a couple of packs if we want to
Oh
remember some
yeah.
guys.
Let's do it. Let's remember some
Okay,
guys. Good
so
idea.
before we get to that, I'll read the top 10 on the Always Cheating Patreon League. And Josh, if you want to throw out any other Game Week 8 questions, let us know. And also, if you're
Great.
in the chat and you've got some hot button questions that we haven't covered, do let us know. But
Okay.
starting in 10th place after Game Week 7, we have Team Oind, Andre Skolt Iverson. Tied for
Yep.
10th is Eliv Rusnahag. Roshag, Chris McCartney in ninth, and Richard Harwood in eighth. Leaf Martins, Felsen. I feel like the Nordics are doing very well on the table right now. Eamon Hogan in fifth place. Also in fifth is Emery Saka. Up to fourth, John Healy. Lazaros Janos, producer patron, Sound the Klaxon, is in third
Weak
strongly
FPL.
for life. Gavin O'Donnell in second place and holding it down in first. Quantum of Solanke. There's that man again. All of the young people love Lachlan Hyatt's team
Oh
because
yeah.
they rally around Big Dom Solanke. We're going to get to the bottom of this, Josh. Why Solanke is the Taylor Swift of FPL?
I think that you're right. I mean, is there a generation? Are we too old to have Dominic Solanke in our squads, Brendan? That's a chilling thought.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
he passed us by, we're gonna go to
Yeah.
the Solanke Eras tour.
All right. I think we've done enough FPL now. That was that we've been
Okay,
it's been very very
stop
substantial.
sharing your screen.
Yeah, I did stop sharing my screen.
Oh, I'm still seeing it on the YouTube, but yeah, I see it. Okay, we're fine. Let's pretend we're fine. We look good here in
I
our
don't see
home
it
base.
anymore. I'm pretty sure
Everything's
I'm not
fine.
sharing any longer. Yeah, we're good.
I think you're good. I think you're
Yeah.
good. All right, let's go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we've done enough FPL. We need to remember some guys, right, Josh? So, as
Let's
a
do it.
reminder to everybody watching, Josh, online, you found these packs of
Yep.
cards, trading cards.
Match attacks.
Yeah, and for reference, all of the players are played in the Premier League, in the Barclays Premier League, in the 2013-2014 season.
Hmm.
So you see, you've got I can't even remember that guy's. Who was that center back for Swansea? Why can I not remember his name?
I can't see him in. Are you
He
using
was
your
the
HD? Are you
like the
using your nice
talismanic
HD
captain.
camera, Brandon?
He was the Welsh guy. Yeah, but it doesn't focus very well. Eden Hazard. Uh, you've got some guy who plays for Hull. Okay, it's fine. All right,
All right.
you go ahead first. Open up your
Okay.
pick.
Oh, okay, good. All right. I'm gonna crack open the pack here. All right, here we go. All right. This is again 10-year-old deck of
Williams,
Premier
nice.
League Premier League trading cards. And here we go. Ooh, okay. I'm gonna tip this over so I don't look at them in advance. All right, starting things off, Brandon, with Jan Vertonghen. I think I had Jan Vertonghen for a total about 2 weeks during his like decade in the Premier League. And what I remember most about it is he once almost scored a 18-yard box to 18-yard box goal, where it was like the only time he ever did this. He went like the length
I
of the
remember
pitch.
this play. Yes.
Yeah, and then it kind of fell apart right at the end. But he had a great little run. He was the most frustrating center back because he didn't even go up on corners. He would stay back on corner kicks. So it was really it was very maddening to own him in fantasy. He still plays somewhere. I actually can't remember where he is now.
I think he
Um,
moved to Is he playing
is
in
he
the
is he in the
Belgian
Belgian
league?
league now? Yeah. So he is 87 defense, very high. 48 attack. That seems too high as well, honestly.
Way
Priced at
high.
7 million. His power is 88 and his tackle is 88. That actually feels appropriate to me. So there is Jan Vertonghen, first player. Do you want to go 1-1 or should we do? I'll do
Yeah,
my
let's
whole.
go 1-1.
Okay,
All
all
right,
right,
let's
let's
go
do
one
it.
on one. I'll open my
Okay,
pack here.
okay.
Just do a little pen and teller, like there's no tricks up our sleeve.
Yep,
Coming
yep.
out of
Let's
the
see
pack,
it.
get that real crinkle on the audio. And first
A
player
great crinkle.
is Oh, well, Rodri is out this weekend, but what Man City wouldn't do for Fernandinho.
Fernandinho.
I'm totally spacing on all these dudes' names right now. Fernandinho's got the foil card. That's
Oh
how
yeah.
good he is. Fernandinho, who got the unceremonious, sorry, but you're going to have to play center back for the last 2 seasons of your dominant defensive
That's
midfielder
true.
career.
It kind of hurt his legacy a little bit, didn't it? He was always getting red cards and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
God,
Look
look
at
at the
that.
way that sparkles.
That's a
So yeah,
beautiful
no
card.
no real fantasy memories from him because these players are just not fantasy
He never had
guys.
that
But
kind of Rodri moment, did he?
yeah, 75 defense, 65 attack. Much respect in terms of his shielding ability. So
Oh yeah.
Fernandinho, we wish you well in your retirement. Foil card. All right, what do you got?
He was a great player. May he rest in peace. All right, my next one is oh wow. I got West Brom manager Steve Clark.
Wow, a manager
I
card.
didn't know there
Wow,
were
how did he not
manager
get foil?
I know. I didn't even know there were manager cards in here. He's got
Jeez, he couldn't
oh
even button
wow.
his jacket for the photo.
He's got +5
What's
defense
his
and plus
attack?
5 attack. This is like them not having a 1 in the fixture difficulty rating, Brandon. This is like they're being gentle with him here.
I think this is a
Um,
game that you can play with these cards, so I think you
yeah.
add the
It's like a
manager to enhance the.
Pokemon kind of thing. All right,
Okay,
well there you
cool.
go,
Wow, that was
Steve
that.
Clark. I do remember him. I remember him because I think West Brom won their first 2 games of the season, maybe this
Hmm.
particular season, and everyone was like, "Are they going to run the table?" Or like, are they
Yep.
basically like, "Are they going to be good?" And I think they got relegated that year, so it was a nice
All
little
right.
run.
Here's an interesting question for the chat.
Okay,
We all probably had this guy for at least 1 week, but I challenge anyone in the chat to have one good memory with him, and maybe
okay,
somebody exists.
okay.
Played for Sunderland. It cost £5 million in the match attack game. It's Connor Wickham. Connor Wickham,
Ooh, Wickham,
32 defense, horrifying defender,
the archer of his
mediocre
day,
attacker.
Brandon.
Yeah, he was the archer of his day. So yeah, I'm sure I had Connor Wickham for a double game week or some such. I feel like he got a decent run on that Sunderland side, and kind
Just
of like a
never. He didn't have.
Sorloth s fixture of
Yeah,
sort of featuring player. There's something else in there, and we're just not seeing it.
yeah, yeah. It never quite. It's too bad because the longer you watch the Premier League, the more you realize that these players who are just hunting for that right spot. It's like it so rarely works. Although it actually almost did with uh, Patrick Bamford, who was. I mean, I guess it did work because he had a couple of good seasons, but injuries
Hmm.
unfortunately like really ruined things for him. But he was one of those guys too. He was like a Wickham type for a long time, where he was kicking
Yeah,
around
it's true.
Championship and the Premier League, never quite
Yeah,
found his
Connor
spot.
Wickham does
And
career to fall back on the way Bamford does, though. So
no, that's
you
true. He's
know,
not classically trained. That is a problem. All right, let's see what I got next. I hope I have another manager here. Let's see. I
please.
have oh Andreas Weimann, the the Villa forward. This is during Villa's whatever the opposite of a golden era is. It was this era
Mm,
for Villa, the
their
era
their hunt
when
for relegation.
the least entertaining team like in the history of the Premier League, like never got relegated, won or lost every match 1-0. And it was a lot of Andreas Weimann types on that squad.
Hmm.
So let's see, he's 70 attack, feels too high, 21 defense, quite low. Um, 73 shoot, 65 skill, 60. How does that add up to 70 attack, Brandon? 73 shoot, 65 skill, 60 pass.
I'm not buying
That
it just
math
based on
math didn't check out.
Connor
Yeah,
Wickham being 66. I think Connor Wickham's got
yeah.
Vyham
What's
dead to
Vyman got
rights.
for what's Vyman got for tackle on your card?
Oh, what's Connor Wickham have
Or
for
yeah, what's Connor Wickham
tackle?
have? Yeah.
I've got 31 for
Oh wow,
Connor Wickham
Vyman's
on
got
tackle.
17. This man could not tackle.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Yeah,
17.
he's not
Outrageous.
built for this league. Was
Yeah,
always his problem. Vyman's
I
problem.
guess so. Wow. All right, we got Wickham and Vyman. All right, you go next here. Let's see what you got.
I'm about to blow the roof off this YouTube, so hold on to your VPNs, everybody.
Yep.
He's bald and he's brash, and he's John Joe Shelby.
Oh wow, Voldemort. I love it.
Look at this guy. He's very balanced with 50 66 attack, boosted by his shots from range.
Yeah, real central midfielder numbers right there.
Absolutely love me some John Joe Shelby, and
Sure.
that's a little bit of the football ramble coming out in me.
He's playing the championship now, right? Didn't he move to the championship somewhere?
I don't know where John Joe is right
I'm gonna pull
now.
that up
Yeah,
as we're talking here.
look it up. But I just feel like
Oh no,
he.
he's on loan from not he's okay. He's playing in the Turkish Super League on loan from Forest. So I don't know.
Okay.
Explain that. They sold him to Forest, and he immediately went on loan. I don't
Oh
know.
right,
Okay.
he was part of that cavalcade of Forest guys last season, where you're just like, sure, whatever. You bought him, okay,
Right, right. Only got 8
okay.
appearances. By the way, I somehow missed. It's like I don't know why I hadn't even thought about this before, but then when Will Zaha scored a goal for Galatasaray
Yeah.
at midweek, I was like, oh right. Like I don't know about you, but I did. I guess you just really wanted to play in the Champions League because good for him scoring goals.
Can you imagine?
Galatasaray.
I mean, you could see it in his celebration where he had achieved his dream. Like speaking of axes to grind,
Yeah,
Manchester United basically just cast him aside, and you feel like he always resented that. And being at
yeah,
Palace, he just never. He always felt like he was destined for something else. To score that
yeah.
goal in the Champions League at Old Trafford, I'm sure he can just retire at this point.
Yeah, and I'm happy for him. I mean, it
Sure.
sort of feels like Man United being bad has gone on for long enough. Like part of me, it's like it's like I really do like, even though we enjoy hating on them, like I do kind of want them to be like a proper title challenger too. I don't know, throw another one in the mix, right? It's like, yeah,
Yeah, I guess I don't disagree with you at all, but I think I'm totally over the discussion of which players does United have to buy, which manager do they have to hire. That club needs to like get all new backroom staff and new ownership.
yeah, that's
Like
yeah,
I'm not interested in talking about that club at all until that
yeah.
happens
I
because
think
it's
it's
not
true.
serious. You trace
Yeah,
back, like I was looking this up just this weekend. Um, I just wanted to do this thought experiment where you type into Google what's the autocorrect, and I looked up when did Manchester United, and then the autofill is last win the Premier League, last win the Champions League. And I was
yeah,
like, become a, and then the fill was like a club, a whatever. And then I was like, publicly traded company.
yeah.
And to me, and it's 2012. And
Was that
2012,
the same year they last won a championship?
I think it was before then. It would have been, I mean, was it the last season? Well, it was the Van Persie season, was on the top flight.
I'll look it up
Anyway,
while you're
the
talking here.
point
Yeah.
is like they sold their soul. They're not a real club. Forget them. I'm not talking about them anymore.
Okay, you went too far, like as you're want to do. Before we get any comments there, they're a real club. Any hate mail should be directed at Brandon Kelly, care of what's your
Yeah,
PO box, Brandon? Why don't you share
hotmail.com.
that on here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
choose my
exactly.
Hotmail
Yeah,
account.
it was 2013, so that was they got one last title in before that was Fergie's last year, 10 years
Wow, yeah,
ago.
they split the stock that season.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Oh yeah,
Dumb
but that was
money.
like when people could like buy stock, right? They could like you could buy, and maybe you still can. I guess you still can. They're publicly traded, but like people would like sell. They would like buy non-controlling shares, right? And they'd frame them and put them up on their wall or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
Well, you know what? Do whatever you want to do. I buy a lot of stupid stuff. I can't talk. All right. The next one I have 2 cards left here. I think you do too. Next one
Yep.
is a fun one, Brendan. This one actually I might try to find some place to put it prominently. Per Mertesacker.
Oh
Uh,
boy.
what have there? I feel like there are.
I'm on that card. He's so huge.
Yeah, I feel like there are a few players. It does happen every now and then. Jordan Henderson actually was kind of like this, even though people don't remember this anymore, where a player comes in and nobody really like rates them, or it's not that they don't rate them, but they're like it's like whatever. Okay, sure, we've got Per Mertesacker now, and then like as the years go on, they kind of get more and more legendary and beloved, And I feel like that's like I feel like by the end of Per Mertesacker's reign, he was like one of the like everyone's like favorite Arsenal player. I mean, fantasy wise, he was never like he was fine. He had some moments or whatever. He wasn't like hugely relevant, but he was kind of like the Gabriel, and not even Gabriel. It's more like Saliba, right? But I felt like I just like Per Mertesacker. I was watching him hobble around. It feels like he was the kind of guy who always had like a knee brace on. He was just a cool name, Per
Sure.
Mertesacker.
Guy
Yeah.
who looked like he was always on the precipice of retirement, even when he was old, for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
remember a match. I don't remember who Arsenal were playing, but I remember having Mertesacker in my FPL team,
Yeah.
and we were waiting out a Arsenal clean sheet, and the other team it was just an onslaught on the Arsenal goal, and Mertesacker was just like headed clearance, headed clearance, headed clearance,
Yeah.
and I was just like
Yeah.
bonus points, bonus points, bonus points. And there was another, I think it was that same stretch where I had him where there was some ridiculous penalty that was called on a corner kick where somebody wiped him out. And yeah, lots of cheeky points, fantasy
I
points
know.
from
So
Mertesacker.
funny. Like that's the fun thing. I'm looking at these cards. I have so
Yeah.
many fantasy memories of all these players. Anyway, I think he has he's only 75 defense, but he's great. I mean, 82 power, 79 tackle, which are both terrific. 53 speed though. That's what kills him here, Brendan. The 53 speed.
Sounds
He's no
fast to
Kyle.
me.
He's no Kyle Walker. All right. Let's see one of your cards. We got 3 left, I think.
Zero fantasy memories from Sandro at Tottenham Hotspur.
Sandro. Yeah. Yeah.
Came and
Sandro.
went.
The other Sandro.
So I really have nothing to say about Mr. Sandro.
What's his rating? What's his rating?
78 attack, 57 attack, 78 defense. Was this guy at center back? I don't know.
Yeah,
He
well, he was
looks.
he was a defensive midfielder.
I really cannot.
It's
This
a tough
was a
one.
guy where it's like I'm not clearing out any brain space for this
Interestingly, he
dude.
was he was at Spurs from 2010 to 2014. I mean, he had played like a fairly long time. I'm looking him up on Wikipedia right now, but
Well, there you
yeah,
go.
you know what? We'll move
Everyone
on.
sound
We
off on
just
their great Sandro
there's
memories in the
whenever
chat.
you and I open up a couple cards, there's like one dud across the 2 decks, and I think that's poor Sandro is that dud. Oh, they got 17 caps for Brazil, so not bad.
You know, what am reminded of is Hewlett Packard. And forget about what happened to Sandra. What happened to Hewlett Packard? Um,
I think
you
we have
know,
Hewlett Packard stuff in my office still. I
yeah, oh,
remember
cool, great.
yeah.
I'm glad they're still in business while Sandro is out of business.
All right, one last card for me. Oh wow, this is a good one, Brandon. You're gonna like this one. Andy Carroll, 7.5 million. That
Whoa,
was usually his
supermodel.
price. Usually his price. Thinking this is long-haired Carroll too.
What a
And
weird pose to catch him in. I feel like
yeah,
Andy Carroll is a man of many moments, and
I know.
they
And I
caught him like he's a cat burglar or
maybe
something
this
in that
is
picture.
maybe this is a dumb thing, but I honestly can't remember him being at West Ham. He's got the West Ham kid here.
Oh yeah, he
He's
went from Newcastle to Liverpool, and
right,
then he was a total washout at
right.
Liverpool, and then he went to
That's
West Ham to
That's right.
try to.
Okay. Yeah. He actually got it. He got 126 appearances for West Ham. So I don't know why I it's getting late
Don't
here
throw him
in
into
the
the
US, Brandon.
Sandro bin.
No, I'm not gonna throw him in the center of him, but I guess like his Newcastle time and his Liverpool time are very distinctive. Both his like first phase of Liverpool or of Newcastle, and even when he went back there, I kind of remember both of them well. but I feel like the West Ham era, even though he did get lots of appearances, was kind of marked by him being incredibly injured virtually all of the time, right? I mean, he was there from 2012 to 2019, but he only
Yeah.
had 120 caps across 6 years, right? So that gives you a sense of, it was pretty hard for him to actually get match time during that stretch, mostly because of injuries.
Oh yeah, and diving into the championship as I do occasionally with Fulham, I've seen him play a few times for Reading, and any skill he had is completely gone, erased from the planet.
He's like
He's a big lad.
he should have moved to
He's
center
got a
back.
football brain, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know why more forwards don't move to center back for this latter half of their careers. Um, one last, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why I think he's like secretly a great defender or something. The just a question for you: how many caps do you think that Andy Carroll had for England?
Good question. I'm gonna say 20.
9.
Hmm.
Doesn't that seem low? I remember him scoring that goal in like Euro 2010 or
Yeah, like him and
2012 or whatever
Danny
it was.
Welbeck up
Yeah,
front.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah. I mean, 9 ultimately feels cosmically right.
Yep, yep.
I think that's a credit to
9.
England and their their
Yeah.
their talent pool that he only has 9 caps.
All right. Well, there you go. Andy Carroll, my final card. So
Bless,
no foil for
bless.
me in this pack, but I feel like
Ah,
I got some good ones in there. I mean, getting manager Steve Clark was a real highlight for me. This one I have to I better
yeah,
put this one away right away so it stays near mint.
definitely put that in
Yeah,
Plexi.
Wyman, Per Mertesacker was the genuine highlight. Andy Carroll, and then who was my final? Oh, then Jan Vertonghen. I got some quality center backs in the
Yeah, speaking of last guy, Gareth
who's my
McCauley.
can't. Ah,
Gareth
Macaulay.
McCauley from West Bromwich
Yes.
Albion
Yes.
really, really snubbed him on the attack with 21.
Yeah,
And
he of
hashtag
the
nice
yeah.
69 on defense. What a way
Yeah,
to go.
I feel like
Oh,
wasn't he the one who got the phantom assist or the assist that
yeah.
didn't happen or whatever? Like
It's
somebody climbed
really
over his
it's really
back.
fitting that this is the last card because it was him and Johnny Evans who were both in the running for that assist, and it went off of
Can't remember. Yeah,
I th
yeah, something like that. Like it went
somebody
off one
somebody
person's head onto
yeah.
another. I think Harry Kane was involved. There's
Oh, yeah, he
a lot
claimed it.
of yeah, he
Kane
claimed
definitely claimed it.
it.
But, yeah, Gareth McCauley, these packs are the gifts that keep giving. I hope that everyone was playing fantasy back in the era of 2013, 14, and that was
Yes.
as much fun as I had. But, yeah, love this.
All right. Well, that I think that concludes our pod. We went way longer than I think either of us were expecting, but it was fun to get on and do this. And let's keep doing this, Brandon. At least maybe once a month or something like that. We can pop on and do these. It's nice to chat with people, and maybe we'll try to do them a little earlier next time, so that if anyone's in Europe, they can join us.
All right, cool. Well, good luck in game week 8. Last minute wild cards. We'll see you on the Discord. For any other questions about the game week 8 deadline, we'll see you there. Thanks for your support.
Cool. All right. Good luck in your wild card, Brandon.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.